Welcome back to another episode of the Geek Centurions. It's me and Joey as we come back to essentially will be every other week where we review this new show that comes out that really caught our interest. That is WandaVision. At the time of this recording, the first two episodes are out, so we are enjoying it as much as we can, as much as we're able to, considering how it's basically keeping its secrets to itself.
Yeah, this is the first MCU Disney Plus show.
It's not like any of the other Marvel shows that you're probably thinking about. This one's actually at least 100% confirmed to be in the universe.
Yeah. So there's a lot of. It's super interesting. I mean, I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to be first, right?
Yeah, that was supposed to be first, then it was supposed to be WandaVision.
But due to certain situations going on, WandaVision was the first one to come out. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were both delayed, right? They were supposed to. Well, no, WandaVision was not delayed, right?
It got pushed back by a month or two.
Yeah, while Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to come out last year, right?
Mm-hmm. It was around August.
Yeah, but then got pushed to this year. But yeah, it's certainly interesting. The format of the show, at least in terms of runtime, is like 30 minutes each, right?
Which is weird. Which is weird because Mandalorian, which is another Disney Plus show that has become like acclaimed, is like an hour long.
Yeah, they usually stick to 40 to hour long episodes, and I mean, even comparing to the Netflix Marvel shows, those were also in that sort of area of like prime time, I guess, TV. But here it's sticking to a somewhat 30-ish minute format, which I think lends itself to what the whole basis of the show is. And I mean, it definitely seems to be, if you've seen the trailers, it's sort of like kind of spoofing a lot of like old sitcom family show kind of thing.
It's all the way back until the 1960s, like Leave It to Beaver, Dick Van Dyke. And you see a lot of that in the way, not only is it the way it's shot, but the setting and the way the sets are designed, along with the way they're talking, the jokes. You know how, and also a little bit of the acting in there too.
Yeah, it's I think you pointed, you showed me a clip comparing sort of because each episode sort of opens differently. And I assume it's going to continue as the show goes along. And the first episode opens up in a very sort of, like 1950s family sitcom show. Like you showed me a clip of of the Dick Van Dyke Show where he trips over a chair or whatever, and that's referenced in the first episode in the opening where Vision almost trips over a chair, but he phases through because he's Vision. But yeah, it's neat. It's kind of neat seeing that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't really have much experience watching any of those old stuff besides like the random references, like the Honeymooners or I Love Lucy and stuff like that.
But you know the way they're shot though. That's the thing we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. It does sort of like harken back to, because I think those early shows were filmed like on sets, obviously.
Live studio audience.
Yeah, usually with a live studio audience, and
which apparently I heard they did get a live studio audience for the show.
Now, was that before current events, or I'm gonna assume that might have been before.
Yeah.
They usually sort of had like this 3-camera format where like there would be 3 cameras that would catch sort of the different angles, and they sort of keep to that. But they do use like obviously like modern day camera and editing techniques like close-ups and stuff like that, which you wouldn't often see in those kind of shows.
I mean, I will say they didn't do much close-ups in the first episode. They kept it very straight, Dick, stuff that you would see in Dick Van Dyke and Honeymooners kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's an interesting format of how that works, and it's especially interesting how it sort of transitions a bit into the second episode, because just the aesthetics of the second episode are very sort of I think bewitched is
Yeah,
probably the best way to describe
the opening
it.
was very bewitched. It had a cartoon opening.
Yeah, like a very cartoon opening, and obviously I think it even sort of draws in with that because it's obviously them trying to use their powers discreetly. And honestly, it kind of makes sense to parody Bewitched. Sorry. Especially because, Wanda is Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, she's the witch.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say this. Each episode, and we're going to go into a little bit of the plot as I talk about this, but each episode is sort of formatted to be like a one-off episode of a sitcom. The first episode essentially like it's the classic, honey, the boss is coming to dinner. If we don't get this right, I could get fired.
Yeah. And it's an interesting setup. Obviously because they're trying to keep Vision being a robot a secret, it being one of them, and obviously as well Wanda's powers. So like he goes to work looking like a regular human kind of thing.
And I'll say this: the way there's aspects of mystery in the story. There's moments where Vision's like, "What am I doing here?" Like, he doesn't go like, "I died." He's like, "No, like, what are we like? What am I doing?" Like he's at his job, and what was the name? What was the name of the building? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I don't know.
It was something computing.
Yeah, they were doing like computing processing or something.
But he gets it done fast because he's basically
he's a robot.
He's a goddamn robot. My man could calculate infinity if he could. I'm just kidding. But anyways, like once he gets the work done, he talks to his coworker, which I want to say is. I'm not gonna guess the guy's name. I thought it was someone, but I'm not. You know what? I'm not gonna go there. Anyways, but he talks to the guys like, "What do we do here?" He's like, "Well, we do this." I'm like, "Okay, I get that, but what for?" And he continuously talks about stuff like that. Like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, and it's even a mystery to Vision himself about like because there's like because they have the date. On the calendar circled for something, and both Wanda and him are like, what are we doing today? And it's like, we are celebrating something, right? Which causes hijinks because Wanda thinks it's their anniversary. She's gonna make an anniversary dinner for Vision. Meanwhile, Vision knows that I gotta bring the boss.
He found out, to be fair.
Yeah, he found out from the boss, like, oh right, you're coming home for dinner with your wife, that sort of thing, and obviously it leads to shenanigans in the second half. There is a bit of a interesting sort of like ad break kind of thing.
Yeah, you want to talk about the ad breaks for this episode? They didn't talk about the next one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the ad, I didn't realize this until like social media, helped me out and figured out what that whole scene was for, but in between, and they said they were gonna do like in-universe like commercial breaks, where like, and I'm not saying like, okay, let's talk about the George Foreman grill, and it's the George Foreman grill kind of stuff. Like, no, it's like an in-universe toaster made by Stark Industries, and one thing that you notice is that the scene goes on for a little too long.
Yeah, it's like it's super like weird and ominous. Cause like it starts off as a normal commercial, but then it sort of drags on a little where it's sort of like
especially because of the toaster is beeping.
Yes,
it's beeping like a timer.
Right. And
throughout the whole show, throughout the first 2 episodes, it's mostly just black and white.
Yes.
And then if you focus on toaster, it lights up like black and white. There's no color. But then when it cuts back to the toaster, it's red. And then I was like, wait, is this a kind of reference? Because I know they mentioned that it's a Stark Industry toaster, and I'm like, that's just weird. And then like thanks to social media, usually I try to avoid it whenever that stuff happens. But it said that this is a reference to Age of Ultron, where Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were trapped under the rubble of their home. Then there was a Stark bomb that almost blew up that, didn't. Mm-hmm. And all they noticed was the red beeping.
Right.
Which was like, oh, okay, that's a nice tie back.
Yeah, and I think the show will definitely have a lot of those sort of like around, especially as because the second episode definitely sets up a lot of sort of like okay, this is definitely not normal reality. I mean, obviously, I think it's just a very interesting sort of format. But the first episode definitely sort of like sets up like kind of like and there's obviously weird stuff happening there too.
Oh yeah, and like, do you want to talk about the weird scene at the end of the episode?
Yeah, I think that's a solid thing.
So
about, yeah.
Well, it also was in the trailer, so
okay, yeah.
So obviously everyone knows this from the trailers. It's when Vision and Scarlet Witch are having a dinner with like two other guests, and for whatever reason they're all they start asking them questions like, where are you from? What do you do? Like, why are you like what made you guys move here? And they're trying to ask their whole story, and like Vision and Wanda can't say anything.
Yeah, they sort of like blank out as to yeah, which I think it definitely is, obviously continuing sort of like throughout the entire episode of sort of like them not exactly knowing what day it is, what's going on half the time, and it's like, oh, we're doing this or whatever. So yeah, it's super interesting to see that, and then like just
it starts becoming a bit scary.
Yeah, like there's a bit of a horror edge to it in terms of just like you keep getting there's close-up angles. The boss starts to choke on his food.
Yeah, and his wife, who's I don't know the actress's name, but she's the mom from That 70s Show, and I will always see her as the mom from That 70s Show.
Yeah,
which is all like, okay, you already got my attention. You got the mom from That 70s Show, one of my favorite shows as a kid.
I just they should have had the dad as well. I mean, it'd be funny.
Red Foreman.
Yeah, Red Foreman. I want him to stick a foot up somebody's ass.
I don't blame you.
But yeah,
she like you've seen from the trailer. She's like, stop it. But in this one, it drags on a little longer, and I swear, and credits to her acting, it's almost like she starts like crying, like she's begging it to stop.
Yeah, because at first she's sort of telling him to stop asking questions to them, and then he starts choking, and she goes, "Stop it," in a sort of like a lighthearted way. But then, as the scene continues and he continues to choke, he's
Vision
saying
looks horrified too.
Yeah, like everyone just looks very sort of mortified as to, oh no,
this person could just die.
Yeah, and obviously the Vision saves his life. Everything sort of like continues on as like nothing happened. Like Vision's boss is like, that was a good dinner. I want to talk to you
about a promotion,
or whatever.
All right.
Yeah,
Are we just gonna?
And it's not brought up.
No, and it's even weirder because like in that set, and also in that scene, it's Wanda that tells him to do it. It's like, Vision, help him. And she says it in such like not a monotone voice, but like in a serious tone, where like she's in control kind of stuff.
Yeah, it is definitely interesting seeing that, and it just sort of like, I think obviously sort of foreshadows like this is definitely gonna be super weird.
Yeah, it's gonna be like that show. If you guys know, if you're Marvel fans, you've probably seen the show Legion. I feel like it's gonna be like that, but a little toned down, not as crazy. But it's more like centered around like the effect that Wanda has in terms of warping reality. Because like in that show, like everything was like basically every episode was an acid trip.
Right.
So like, but no, I have a theory as to what could be going on, and this is my knowledge from comics. That we can go, but we'll talk about that later on. But I think that right now we can go on to the second episode, the story structure, which essentially it's basically a talent show.
Yeah, it's like a community like talent show kind of thing. Like different families come up and sort of perform little acts, and it's like a fundraiser to help some organization that helps children, I think.
Mm-hmm. No, it's for the school.
Oh yeah, right. It's for the school. I forgot. Yeah, and
which by the way, no kids anywhere to be seen.
Yeah, it's definitely like a super weird thing to talk. Super weird thing about it. Now, I don't want to say it's like a reference, like how you don't see kids that much, but that's not really true because there's been kids in like shows like that all the time. That's why they're family shows. But yeah, it's just kind of like a super like weird thing to be like, oh, we're doing this for the kids, and there's even like a moment after the talent show is done, it's like for the kids, and it's like there's no children here. This is kind of awkward.
Yeah.
But Wanda and Vision are like performing a magic act. You know, he's the magician. She's the assistant. And they sort of like trying to perform like a little box trick. But I mean, to be fair, before the episode starts, like before like the opening, the Bewitched opening, Wanda hears some noises out on the like outside of her house.
Yeah.
And I think afterwards she goes outside and she sees a toy helicopter looking thing.
Oh yeah. Which, by the way, again, everything is. I remember when I said that in the last episode, the only thing that you see was red. In this one, the helicopter is red and yellow, and then you start seeing more color as it goes along.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Like it's a nice. It obviously sort of like foretells of okay, this is like definitely not of this world kind of thing, right? Like it's not part of the reality. But yeah, you know, Vision. Sort of like there's like sort of like two plots. One is like Wanda trying to appear normal to this. I think the head of the some sort of homeowner association, right? I forget her name.
Dolly.
Okay. And then Vision, his sort of side plot is that he's just sort of hanging out with the guys, and he's a robot, so he can't really eat, so he kind of makes up an excuse. And the guys are like, okay, that's fine, but he does sort of like chew on a piece of gum. And is like, that can't hurt, and then he accidentally swallows it. And you kind of have this little funny like little animation where like the gum goes into his circuits and stuff. And it sort of starts clogging him, and he sort of like starts acting weird because there's like organics in his machinery, and it's messing up with him. So he sort of like kind of acts a bit drunk. I'm not entirely sure if that's like a reference to anything, but I don't know. It's just
I mean, there was a reference that you mentioned that we talked about earlier that I found out is that, and you explained it to me that. At the beginning of the episode, Wanda and Vision, for a reason, are in different beds.
Right.
And then they put them together in one bed. And I was like, that's a little weird. And then you told me, like, no, that's kind of the thing they did back in the day.
Yeah, I believe it's part of the Hays Code. It was like a film code back in Hollywood, and it didn't get dropped until like the 70s, I think, where 60s or 70s, where basically it's like a sort of rules of like how to depict certain things. And married couples would often have separate beds because they couldn't film a man and a woman sharing the same bed because it would imply them banging or something, and we can't have that be an image that people see or whatever.
Never mind.
Yeah, it's super weird, and I do not know if there was actually people back in the 50s who did that and have separate beds. I feel like it'd be so...
It was just a TV thing.
Yeah, it feels like it's a TV thing, not like people actually did that kind of thing. But, you know, it's just sort of like that kind of thing. But yeah, Vision obviously...
But it was a nice nod to the...
Yeah, they're sort of like keeping in touch with that sort of like... If we're filming it in this type of era of TV, then, you know, it's nice to reference that sort of stuff. So, afterwards, coming back to the sort of the plot of the episode, Vision is messed up with the governance circuits, and it's time for the talent show, and he's obviously sort of like walking around very weirdly and trying to act and stuff, but it also means that he's not really thinking straight, and sort of like lets off like some of his abilities, like his flight. But Wanda, using her sort of reality warping abilities, is able to like make
See,
it.
guys, it was just all part of the.
Yeah, he's not flying. There's a rope right there, and it's like, oh, the rope's there, guys. I didn't see it before, or whatever. And it's like he's picking up this giant piano. It's like it's not giant. It's not. He's not picking up the piano.
It's an optical illusion.
Yeah, it's an optical illusion. It's just a piece of cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's kind of funny because like I guess one of the guys that had organized it was like, "That's my grandmother's piano. How did that happen?"
He has the best lines.
Yeah.
I mean, before we continue on that, we got to talk about some of the casting. That I can't remember her name, but she's kind of the funniest one. It's I got it right here, Catherine Han.
Is she the next door neighbor?
She's the next door neighbor.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the she's the one making all the weird jokes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
She's
kind of hitting on every guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't notice the hitting on guys part, but it definitely seemed like she sort of.
So you didn't see her looking at the male guy's ass?
Oh no, I did not. I just sort of like they were just talking to each other. It's like she was trying to make jokes and stuff. I didn't notice that part, but yeah, it is a bit interesting. Just seeing that there's like various characters. I'm assuming they're all going to be like around in like these continuing episodes, but filling out like different sitcom roles. I'm gonna assume.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like an interesting sort of like view of, I don't know, maybe just seeing how their characters shift around.
One thing you forgot to mention is that someone's clearly trying to contact, Wanda.
Right,
there was a scene in which Wanda's getting calls from the radio, and it's more of like people realizing this is her probably reality warping the situation, because as soon as that went away, so someone was asking like, who are you, like what am I, what's going on, and then she, after that whole situation with the radio, she's like, what happened? Oh, I cut myself, and the blood is red.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that, because I think because she's talking to Dolly, right, and she's like sort of like questioning her, and she's like, I don't believe you, and then like the radio starts, right?
She's losing her grip.
Yeah. And it's sort of like the message is like, Wanda, where are you? Who's doing this to you, right? Kind of thing. And then it stops. Yeah. That definitely, again, sort of leads into sort of the, everything is not what it seems to be in this show, right? Like, there's clearly more to what is happening.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure as we go along, we'll find out what else happened. But, once the whole situation is solved, from the little, we forgot to talk about Monica Rambeau. She was in this show too.
Wait, is she?
Yeah, it's that lady who took a while to answer the. Yeah.
Oh.
That's Monica.
Okay, that's interesting. I thought she was gonna be like
introduced later.
Yeah.
No, dude, that's her.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I guess because I'm thinking of her character in like Captain Marvel when she was a kid.
Yeah. You forgot that she aged up.
Yeah, I obviously forget. Yeah, she obviously ages up, and I just forgot what the actress looked like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just
that's on me.
Yeah, no, that's definitely on me. But yeah, no, that's actually interesting that she's also a part of the reality.
And she's probably the one that's already trying to break through, because like she's already having issues from the get go. Because remember when she starts talking to Wanda, she's like, "I'm like it takes her a while to answer."
Yeah, she's like, "I don't know what I'm doing here."
Well, that's later on from the trailers.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, no, everything seems hunky dory. And again, this is where like going back to what you said, they keep talking about it's for the children, and yet like we don't see children until, well, we don't see children, but we see like Wanda developing, the
baby bump,
and like we're like, whoa, wait, what?
Yeah, it's yeah, as it turns out, magically, Wanda is pregnant. We don't see them do anything. It sort of just like happens suddenly.
Well, remember in the beginning of the episode, they both go under the sheets together.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's a robot.
Yeah, he's a robot. It's
She's mad. She's mad. I'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing in the comics.
It's a thing in the comics.
Yeah, but
it's a lot more complicated in the comics, actually.
Yeah, but that's not even where the episode ends because they go out to hear more of that noise happening and they think it's the tree or whatever, but it's not. They go outside and they see some man coming out of a sewer drain, like the
like in a beehive looking thing.
Yeah, he's in like a beehive looking suit. It's like it looks like there's actually bees around him. You don't see his face, but
you see a little bit of his face, but you don't see like his full.
Yeah, it's all like him. He's in the shadows, and like Wanda's like no, and then it just sort of rewinds
VHS tape style.
Yeah, rewinds back to that moment where they were talking about the baby, and then that's where the episode ends.
Yeah. And I think we did mention this in either when we were talking about, but they established that S.W.O.R.D. is involved.
Yeah.
Which is it's like S.H.I.E.L.D., but they handle more intergalactic stuff. So that's probably what's going on, And the beekeeper guy has a S.W.O.R.D. logo on his back.
Yeah, and the toy helicopter had a S.W.O.R.D. logo on it.
So they're trying to reach out to Wanda. That's what we can tell.
Yeah, so...
By the way, we forgot to talk about the other commercial break.
Right, yeah, the other commercial break.
And which, by the way, I don't think you noticed this, but the people doing the commercials are the same ones from the first one.
I didn't notice that.
Because in the first one, it's this guy talking to his lady, talking about a toaster.
Yeah.
And then they brought him back as their husband and wife, where they were talking about this watch, the Von Strucker watch. And it's clearly, a watch with the Hydra logo on it. Yeah. And, there's a speculation going around about the time. It's 2:42. We'll talk about that in a minute because, again, people are speculating.
Right.
But essentially, that's how you know that this show is going to get delved into, like, Wanda's past. Like, she's the main center of the show.
Yeah.
Aside from that, we don't know where it could go. All we know is that this is about to get trippy as heck. Because you forgot to mention, everything went to color.
Yeah, right, yeah. Because when she rewinds, when it rewinds back to the moment, everything starts to get color. And, like, I think signifying sort of, like, sort of the transition. I think, doesn't everything go, like, widescreen as well? Because the entire, like, first two episodes are in, like, a standard, like, or, like, a standard definition, like, 4:3 format.
I think it also got a little bit longer by the second episode.
A little bit, yeah. But yeah, I could have sworn like it expands the screen, like the format of the show.
If that's the case, that's like a huge attention to detail. I'm kind of looking it up right now on my phone, see if that was the case, because that would be interesting.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't know. I think it might make sense, but then again, I'm not entirely sure. No, I
just keep talking. I'm having it right here.
Okay, but yeah, it's super interesting because now color is in their world now. So, I mean, like, I guess whenever stuff, it might make it either more difficult for maybe Wanda to know what stuff is reality and not reality. But yeah, just a really bizarre stuff happening in this show.
To answer your question, no, I did not.
Okay.
But the end credit scenes are a longer one. That's probably why you were thinking that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. No, my thing, here's my thought process, right? That the moment of color, and this is me just like thinking like, as an artist, and what I mean when there's color, and, stuff like that, when there's color, usually people think it's colorful, there's more vibrant, there's more lifelike, it's more, uplifting.
Yeah.
This probably means that she was able to bring back, or fully bring back Vision in the real world, in her mind, situation, because this is all her either coming to grips with losing her husband.
Yeah, I think that's sort of.
I know that's like the main idea of it, but whatever is the reason for it, it's the reason why everything has to be pitch perfect. But unknowingly, she has caught a lot of people in the blast of it. And I know that's a lot of people are saying, but like, here's my thing. Because in the comics, what happened was, Vision and Wanda did eventually like go off and to have like their own survival life. They did their own little fun stuff, and they were able to produce life. You know, their sons who would become Wiccan and Speed. You know, magic.
Yeah,
and Spacer, yeah. And so eventually, what happened was we find out that it wasn't just because of their magic, but also because of the influence of Mephisto. You know, they're in-universe devil, or one of the devils, I guess. And he took their souls and, you know, brought them back. Because apparently they were part of his soul or whatever. But, you know, he just took them back or whatever. And eventually it would lead to, you know, Wanda going out, kind of like to look for it. And, you know, people were just blocking out the memory of her having kids.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, if that is the case, because remember, she's supposed to be coming through. Well, because remember, there's this conversation about, you know, Wanda being in Doctor Strange. What if whatever's the reason, this show ends with Vision dying again, and whoever caused her to make the kids takes them, and now she's got to go off of Doctor Strange to go find her kids.
I mean, that would be super interesting format. Because I do know, obviously the whole thing with Wanda is that she does like sort of you know, obviously they make their kids through like magic and stuff. So yeah, it would be kind of interesting because obviously in the lore of the MCU, Vision is dead, Wanda was brought back, and yeah, we don't really know what happens with her. I mean, we know that Clint is sort of like at least telling her that, you know, consoling her after, you know, she realizing that Vision didn't come back along with the rest of them and stuff. So yeah, like it is interesting to see that like that could be the potential outcome of what happened after Endgame, because technically this is the first piece of media like set after Endgame from the MCU. So who knows? I mean, I do think about like the rumor of what, like Quicksilver.
Yeah,
like, because wasn't it rumored that his the actor Aaron Taylor Johnson was going to be in the show?
And you know what's weird? Having to look up to make sure I knew the actress's name for that scene. I find out that Evan Peters is listed as the cast, who played Quicksilver in the X-Men movies.
That's interesting.
Which, if he does come back as their Quicksilver, I'm gonna be a little miffed, man.
I mean, I don't know. You know, that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Like, who knows? Maybe they might make a in-the-universe joke about them being both Quicksilver. I don't know.
Well, I'm saying, like, if he's in there to replace...
Oh, to replace him.
Aaron Taylor Johnson. I'm gonna be a little miffed.
Yeah, like... I mean, I don't know. Like, it's a bit interesting. I mean, I don't know. Quicksilver has never been, like, one of my favorite, like, mutant characters. But, I think, I don't know. I think a lot of people just were sort of more, like, impressed with, the X-Men. Like,
well, that's because they made him Flash.
I mean, yeah. In the movies, yeah, they definitely did do, like, a lot to just, like, emphasize his speedster powers. In like the first two, in his first two appearances, what was it? Days of Futures Past and Apocalypse.
Yeah.
But in then Dark Phoenix, he obviously gets miffed pretty bad. And obviously, Quicksilver in the MCU, I think it kind of sucks for him because he didn't really have much to develop, right?
Yeah.
Like he was essentially just set up to be the guy that just dies.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, again, sucks, but. Part of it probably did have to do with the fact that a lot of Quicksilver's sort of more well-known stories are sort of tied up with the X-Men, and since at the time Marvel Studios did not have the rights for the X-Men, they sort of were like, well, we're gonna probably have to just kill off Quicksilver because Wanda and Vision definitely have the more stories that we can use for our cinematic universe than just having Quicksilver around.
All I'm saying is that Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's not that bad of an actor. He could have pulled it off.
I mean, maybe if they do decide to bring him back and actually maybe potentially have Quicksilver legit back as a character.
Oh, and there's also been reports that he's probably in there. But here's my thing: what if Evan Peters? There's also another rumor. What if Evan Peters' character is Mephisto?
I mean, that could be interesting, right?
That would be crazy.
I mean,
to go with Mephisto.
I mean, it's kind of all up in the air at this point.
By the way, there's another actor that apparently was listed in the cast. David Spade. Not David Spade.
David Spade.
Wrong guy. James Spader.
Boom, baby. Oh, James Spader, as in the voice of Ultron.
Yeah.
Right? That could potentially be interesting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we'll get full Ultron.
No, it's just Dave Spader as himself, walking in. He's like, "Vision, my son.
Yeah.
Why did you marry this witch?"
Yeah, that'd be kind of weird. But I mean, again, the show is already super weird, so I mean, I think anything's possible. Mm-hmm. But it'd be kind of I guess a funny way of portraying Vision's relationship with Ultron. But yeah,
or he can be a flashback or something.
Who knows? Or maybe it's a voice in Wanda's head of again, maybe just influencer or something. I don't know. There's a lot left open in the show, right? There's just a lot of places this show can probably go. I think the one you mentioned earlier has a lot of with the Mephisto, and maybe leading into as a good way to lead into Doctor Strange. I think that's kind of.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of in-universe Marvel stories where, I mean, that's because that's what the thing that happens in the comics. When she finds out that she had sons, it kind of led into, I'm probably getting it all mixed up, it eventually led into the whole House of M situation.
Yeah, isn't that
where she's like, no more mutants, and some people are saying this is probably our way of getting the mutants in, which I feel like would be cool, but
Yeah, no.
I feel like a lot of mutant stuff you gotta set up nice.
Yeah. Especially considering how there isn't really a whole lot of mutant stuff that has been announced, other than I guess maybe Deadpool 3.
Yeah,
but even then, that's probably gonna be more.
He's always been kind of mutant adjacent.
Yeah, never really sort of
But I'm not saying he's not part of the X-Men or whatever, but he's usually he's either is a mutant or he isn't a mutant.
Yeah, either he's born as a mutant or something, right? Or he just gets mutant powers by accident.
Yeah. That's what it usually happens. Although I will say, as a nod to a lot of the comic stuff that I've read, this is very much Tom King's Vision, where basically it's Vision and this other synthoid family, because he has another family with a wife and kids, trying to live a normal life in the suburbs, but they're trying to. It's they can't be normal,
right?
And if you read that, it's kind of also cool and tragic, and kind of sad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, and they've continuously mentioned, yeah, we're getting most of our stuff from this book, which by the way, I already recommend you guys go out and read it. It's an amazing read. So going into that, knowing how the book goes, seeing how the show's going, it's probably not going to end in a good way.
I mean, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
People die in that book.
Yeah, but I definitely do think where the show might end up going is obviously sort of I don't know, maybe Wanda has essentially sort of just created a sort of I don't know, area of influence around her, and maybe this small suburban neighborhood, and maybe you said Sword's involved. Maybe they're the ones trying to be all right, we got to get in here. She's trying to fucking shit up. We gotta make sure we can get her out of there and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that could be interesting. I think Monica Rambeau is definitely gonna be I think you're right. She might be the first person to wake up and be like, oh, this isn't reality. I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, and we'll see. Because I can already tell there's gonna be at least that one episode where we're all seeing it from the perspective of the sword agents.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Especially considering how like the trailers have been shot, there's definitely going to be a moment where we sort of see what real life is looking like, and sort of understanding, like getting at least a slight picture as to what's going on with Wanda from the outside.
Yeah. Also, apparently, people were saying that because the watch stopped at 242, which is I think they're referencing Avengers 242, which it has something to do with Vengeance, but it was also the introduction of the Beyonder, the bad guy. Well, not the bad guy, but the guy mostly involved within Secret Wars. And they're like, they're setting up Secret Wars, and personally, I feel like no, let's not do that.
You think it's too early for that?
It's too early for that. The Secret Wars has to be like the end all be all for Marvel, because that is their biggest event. That is the one that got them to start events. It is their most well-known event. It's their most famous one. I mean, like, you can't start off the game with like your big weapon. No, you win. You breeze through the game and not enjoy it as much. You gotta work your way to that weapon.
I guess, yeah. It's sort of. I think a lot of people.
Would it be fun if Cloud had the ultimate weapon at the beginning of the game?
If it's a New Game Plus, yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I definitely understand what you mean by that. In terms of I think a lot of people just sort of see that as like, oh, that's our next big plot line. We gotta we need to like get it set up somehow. But when you look at like the first phase of the MCU, we didn't get like a Thanos season until the Avengers, and we were slowly. Like, we only knew about, like, we didn't even know which things were Infinity Stones until the Tesseract was sort of, like, kind of, like, seen as, oh, this is, like, this is being set up as, like,
it's our MacGuffin.
Our big MacGuffin for a good chunk of these movies, and then it's like, oh, this is the Space Stone,
And for a lot of people who read the comics, it was like, oh, that's the Cosmic Cube. And then we're like, oh, wait, no, it houses the Space Stone. That makes sense for this universe.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, like, yeah, because we can't just, Secret Wars has to be developed in a way that it's going to take a lot longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. I am loving the show.
Yeah, it's, like, super quirky and weird.
It's just fun. I laughed.
Yeah, like, like, we talk about how, like, kind of creepy it is, but at the same time, like, the fact that it is sort of taking influence from, like, old sitcom shows, it does actually
done great.
It does, yeah, it does do a good enough job of getting that sort of, like, I guess, comedy edge to it. But, and again, I think that's good because it sort of, what is it? What's the word? Juxtaposes. Yeah. It juxtaposes when the show does get creepy and weird and maybe a bit horror tinged. So, which it's solid, right? It keep that comedy and that sort of like, oh, this is like a normal sitcom show, but then it's not.
You know what probably would work better if we were just given the whole set already.
Oh, all the episodes?
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely understand that that sort of thing, but I'm guessing just seeing how The Mandalorian was released and how successful it has been doing that.
Which I'm not against. I'm not against doing the weekly thing.
No, I'm not against it either. Like, I mean, this is obviously I think our viewing habits when it comes to like online streaming video is slightly different. Like, I don't binge as much. I'm pretty sure. I think you've mentioned binging as soon as like when the Marvel Netflix shows are out. You would binge them all in a night, and I'd be like, "You animal!" Like, I can't do that. Like, the only times I've ever been able to binge watch shows is when I'm doing something else,
and you can have it safely in the background.
And I can have it safely in the background, and I don't have to pay attention to what's on the screen. I can listen to it. Like, I binge It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia like that way because a lot of the jokes are mostly sort of like in the writing. There's obviously visual jokes that sometimes happen, but for the most part,
it's the execution.
It's the execution, and I would just like listen to that while I'm doing my laundry and stuff back in college. And I kind of been doing that as well with other shows like MasterChef and Hell's Kitchen. I would just have that in the background, listen to Gordon Ramsay scream about the lamb sauce. But when it comes to like something like WandaVision or The Mandalorian or any other of these shows that have a heavy story base to them, I can't just like sit down and watch these continuously. I'm like, I need to do something. And if I do something, I'm going to miss out on what's happening in the story of the show. Mm-hmm. So that's why I do prefer this weekly stuff of like...
I'm saying, like, I wish they kind of released more because it starts off in such a way where, like, okay, I want to know more.
Well, I mean, I think that's also part of the strategy of like, I want to know more. It's like, I think it's like that that meme image of that guy from The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
There's more questions I need to ask or something like that.
Yeah, like I don't need sleep. I need answers.
Yeah, I don't need sleep. I need answers.
No, that's basically. I'm not saying I didn't. I feel like I'm not against the whole weekly thing because it works out for me too. You know, I have something to look forward to every Friday now. But man, it would have been so good just to know where this is going because it starts. For me, it starts off at a slow enough pace where you can keep watching, and it still keeps you intrigued at the end of each episode. And then you go like, okay, I need to know what happened next, what's going on.
Honestly, the weirdest thing now I think about the show is that Wanda doesn't have her Sokovian accent.
Oh, they just dropped that in. If you go back to Infinity War, they dropped it.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I feel like she still had like a slight accent.
Yeah, I think she did have like but it wasn't like thick.
It wasn't like, you know, as like thick and like slightly funny as it was in Age of Ultron or Civil War. Mm-hmm. But I think they slowly been sort of like dialing it back.
The accent was a little better with Aaron J. Johnson.
Yeah. I guess for Elizabeth Olsen, she had like a rough time trying to get it right, and I think part of the reason, and I don't want to say it's like part of the reason is just like screw it, she never had an accent to begin with or whatever. In this show, I think it's more sort of like it'd be super weird if I had an accent in this sort of U.S. based sitcom show. I have to have a nice normal American accent, you know.
So Catherine Hahn, right?
Yes.
Her character's name is Agnes. I have a theory.
Okay.
Because she keeps talking about her husband, who we never see. Either her husband is like outside of the ring of whatever, or dome or whatever Wanda's put up, or it's Mephisto. I'm just throwing Mephisto out there. I mean, because so many people are expecting it. I'm not gonna be upset if you don't use Mephisto. I'll be honest with that.
I'm fine with the Mephisto theory or whatever. But I feel like as we move along, you're just going to be like, no, that guy's Mephisto. I see it. No, wait, no, you're Mephisto. Maybe I was Mephisto all along. You know, I feel like that's going to be you by the end if we don't get a Mephisto.
It's going to be another Always Sunny reference, but it's going to be me with Pepe Sylvia.
It's like, it's
Charlie Sheen.
It's like
Charlie with Pepe Sylvia.
This whole box is Mephisto.
I go to Wanda and it's like, Wanda doesn't know what here.
Yeah, but no, that's the first 2 episodes of. Is that all?
That's all. I think that's everything we can talk about. We didn't go as much spoiler as we wanted to.
I feel like some of the spoiler stuff is a bit more like subdued. Like a lot of the end credits stuff. Granted, it's not end credits. It's like right before the credits start. There's very sort of flashes of like more sort of like this is probably reality, most likely. But those aren't like, they're not necessarily like, I think as interesting as
it's a very straightforward show.
Yeah, I don't think it's as interesting
so far.
Yeah, I don't think it's as interesting as speculating on what is going on kind of thing.
And like, I be honest, this is a lot of people were hyped for this show because it was a lot of people feel that Marvel needs to do something to reinvent itself. It can't be the same thing over and over again. and seeing how well this show has done, not only from what I've seen on social media, but from what I've experienced myself. This is what Marvel needs. It's experimenting in the right way.
Yeah,
for a TV show.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with that. Like, I feel like I always assumed that like the MCU TV shows on Disney Plus were going to be a bit more like out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the most granted one was probably going to be Falcon and Winter Soldier, just because that sort of seems like it's going to be continuing plot points from the movies.
Mm-hmm.
But some of these other ones seem like do seem to be like more different takes. Obviously, we're getting stuff like Moon Knight. That's going to be
She-Hulk.
Yeah, She-Hulk. What if Miss Marvel, all that stuff. Like I feel like it's a lot more like Marvel can experiment and like do different things with that. And WandaVision clearly is sort of like leading that charge of like, let's just do something super weird and I'm pretty that probably like movie audiences probably wouldn't be on board with, but
as a movie
on its own, but like maybe like as a series on Disney Plus. Do we know how many episodes this is going to be?
It's 9 episodes.
It's 9 episodes. Okay.
So we're going to have to figure out how to structure this as the weeks come by. Because I don't mind doing this every week, but it's like I at least want to get another talk about something else.
I mean, I could maybe see if it's 9 episodes. I can maybe see them having released the first 2 as like the opener. They would probably be releasing the next. I want to say
5 episodes.
Yeah, like a lot of the like episodes individually because they are again like around 30 minutes. They're not that long.
No,
but I could see the last episode being at least an hour long.
I would say the last 2 episodes.
Okay. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting,
especially since Paul Bettany has said that the last 2 episodes are like they're the ones that are gonna really tie it all up together.
Okay.
So that's why I say I could see the last 2 episodes being maybe probably an hour long.
Okay, but yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting looking at this show.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's the right step that they need to do with this show because it's allowing it's one of the reasons why we kind of really love some of it involves some of the aspects that we love about some of the Netflix shows that some were able to land better than others. It's that they're superhero shows, but they're also a little bit of this extra stuff that you don't have time to do for a movie, like Daredevil. It had a little bit of the lawyer stuff, but it also dealt with more like this guy who clearly has a lot of problems,
right?
And he's still got kick ass, and he can get his ass whooped so many times.
Right.
Holy shit. So what would your ratings be for these 2 episodes?
I think they're all like a solid. I think both episodes are probably a solid 8.
Yeah, I was gonna say 8 too.
Yeah, both of them I think are at 8. Just because they're like they are interesting, they are funny, and they definitely have their moments of like, okay, this is super weird. I need to know what's going on here.
Yeah, no, like the fact that we can get a little bit of horror in there, and not like blood and gore,
but like existential kind of horror, right?
Yeah, because like just seeing the mom from That's Initial go like, stop it,
yeah,
while smiling at Wanda. It's just like, stop it, and like, Jesus Christ, come on, oh God. It's like you can see it in our eyes. She's begging to not to die, but like just to end it.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
Yeah, I think they're gonna play into that a lot more. Hopefully, I think that would make it like so much more interesting.
Yeah. Honestly, I am actually really wondering what the next episode is gonna be.
Yeah. Do you think he's gonna pull a Mandalorian season 2 on us? Where all like the first few episodes were all like very solid, and then he just starts like hitting, like going running. And we just start, like, every episode's a banger after each.
Who knows? I guess, I think part of it might have to do with what type of show they are parroting, because, yeah, I don't know.
We're going to get the Brady Bunch at one point.
I mean, it'd be shocking if we don't get a Brady Bunch, like, styled episode. I mean, that'd be weird.
I'm waiting on the episode that's very much, like, Full House.
I hope to expect a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air style episode where Will Smith just randomly shows up.
Nah, that'd be too perfect.
Yeah,
That'd be too weird.
that's his contribution to the MCU. He just shows up as the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But yeah, no, I think that's it.
That's it. That's all I got for now. So thank you guys for taking a listen to us. You can follow us, as you guys already know, on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the Geek Centurions. If you go on Instagram, you'll find the link tree that will send you to all of our podcasting sites that we are officially part of, as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Pandora, Spotify, all that good stuff. And we are also on YouTube, so you can get at least a good look at how, put a face to the voice kind of stuff, where we do our video episodes for all you guys who are just want to be audio listeners. You can do that too. But want to see how we look, we're on YouTube. You can comment, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon, all that good stuff. You already know how YouTube works. Help us out over there too. And we also have a Patreon where you can help us out with any projects that we want to do. It's a good way for us to know how we're doing. And if we want to do something crazy, we know we got your support. And yeah, that's about it. WandaVision. Oh wow! Imagine Winter Soldier, the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I feel like it's, like I said, I feel like it's more of like maybe standard MCU.
I feel like that leaning a little more to like the stuff that made Cap 2 so good.
Yeah,
political thriller.
Yeah, I think that also might work as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. We'll see you guys in the next one, and hopefully we can talk more about WandaVision as we come along. Have a good one. Peace.